Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. You join us here on Wildcard Wednesday where we talk about a little bit of everything today. There could be a little bit of the match result with someone who hasn't been on the show since Sunday, or it could be a little bit of anything we like. My name's Kieran. I'm joined on this episode by Sam. Sam, how you doing?
Yeah, very good, man. Very good. Enjoyed the most part of the opening weekend. Obviously, we'll touch on the game in a couple of minutes, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, I enjoyed watching the opening weekend, and so glad the football's back now. So yeah, really good, man.
We are so back. But yeah, it was always going to be a tough game because we haven't been on an episode since we had that 1-0 defeat at Old Trafford to Arsenal. Sam, what did you make of the game?
From a United point of view, I thought we played really well, to be honest. I thought it was probably better than I think a lot of us actually expected. Okay, you can look at it on the flip side of that and say we lost, and sort of it's, sort of how you can talk about all these positives that I'll probably go on to talk about, but at the end of the day, it's about the result, and yeah, we did lose. But saying that, I thought we played really well. I thought we were much the better team. I thought we dominated Arsenal, to be honest, throughout the game, and definitely after the goal. I thought going forward we looked fantastic. I mean, and Mbeumo and Cunha, they definitely don't seem like they're lacking confidence, and that's certainly a really good thing, because that was sort of always the worry, that can they sort of bear the weight of the United shirt and Old Trafford, and Cunha especially was unbelievable, I thought. And yeah, I thought you can really sort of see like patterns of play emerging, and going forward, I think we were very good. I mean, I said before the opening weekend that I still feel like we were light in the midfield and light at the back, and I still stand by that, to be honest. I still think we are light in the midfield, and I think quite a few times on the transition, Arsenal did seem sort of, not, I wouldn't say a danger, but they cut through us sometimes a bit easier than I would have liked. And I definitely think, again, I'll reiterate what I said about Manu Ugarte. I just don't think he's good enough now. I think we've seen a season out of him, and yeah, he's been okay, but pre-season and then this game, I think we definitely need a player there next to sort of Bruno Fernandes or Casemiro there as well. To be honest, I thought Casemiro played very well. I thought De Ligt was absolutely solid at the back. I thought he handled Gyökeres very well, and I know people are sort of talking about Gyökeres and saying he didn't do much for Arsenal and we need to see much from him, but I actually think that's a lot to do with Matthijs de Ligt at the back. I thought he was very solid. Obviously, we touched on Cunha, but obviously, as I mentioned, we're light in the midfield, and then goalkeeper. I mean, we touched on it last week. That's a serious position that we need to get fixed very quickly. Otherwise, no matter how we play, we're going to lose games because of our goalkeeper this season. And the thing is, we got rid of David De Gea because he was costing us games. And now we're in that same situation where we still have goalkeepers costing us the game. And really that's what it came down to. The goalkeeper cost us the game. I think apart from that, Arsenal didn't do too much, and they were lucky to sort of win 1-0. And don't get me wrong, credit to Arsenal, they were very defensively solid. I mean, we expect that from Arsenal now, and yeah, they're very solid. They sort of grinded out the win, an away win against one of the big sides like United at Old Trafford on the first weekend. I mean, it's a very, very solid win for Arsenal. But if it wasn't for our goalkeeper mistake, they definitely would not have won that game.
Yeah, and in the post-match press conference, the question was asked that, Amorim was obviously frustrated with the result, but in terms of performance, must have seen a lot of progress and feel quite positive. So Amorim's response was, yes, it's that feeling that we play better, we were the better team, but we lose the game. But I'm really proud of the work they put in on the field, and that's important to move forward. And then it became the question of, do you have no concerns about the three goalkeepers that are your three goalkeepers for the season? Amorim responds, I think we proved today that we can win any game in the Premier League, especially against a great team like Arsenal, and we were the better team. So I'm happy with the three players. I'm happy with the three goalkeepers. So, for Amorim's sake, see, this is the thing about man management. Even if maybe you're not a fan of certain players in the squad, you can't just say, I don't want him in there, he's going to be dropped.
Yeah.
In a sense, you have to back the players until they're not your players anymore. And I feel that can be done if Altay was, 5 or 6 years younger, but I think he's 27 now. It might be 28. Might have to fact check me on that one. But in any case, he's a keeper that should statistically be nearing his prime. And if he's getting shoved off the ball, that's a concern at this stage of his career. Now, Mark Clattenburg on the Sky Sports, I can't remember the show that you're gonna dig me out
Watch,
this one.
I think,
That's it, Ref Watch, yeah. Did mention that perhaps it should have gone to VAR, and maybe the challenge that Saliba made on Cunha probably should have gone to VAR. But I just feel like at that point you're clutching at straws, especially with the goalkeeper one, because when the corner came in for Raya on the opposite end, Raya was in a similar situation. He was being muscled in, but he managed to get a fist to the ball and get the ball out of the danger zone. I think in that game, the referee let a lot of those physical challenges go, and he set that precedent very early on. And I think the game flowed better. Obviously, the way Arsenal play, they want to slow the game down with those, bitty fouls. And once they're ahead, they're a very solid unit. You give them a chance to time waste, they're going to take it. So, as you mentioned as well, Ugarte didn't really have his greatest game, especially coming off on the bench. I thought we looked a bit weaker, especially going defending and attacking. He was making mistakes where Maguire had to bail him out with a cynical yellow card challenge. So was yellow card all day long. That's just Harry Maguire. That's what he does. If he either the ball was getting past him or the man, not both, and he chose the ball was going past him on that occasion. So yeah, I just think I would love to see an upgrade on goalkeeper. There's been Donnarumma's been a name that's been flown around, but I just think either he's going to go to City or he's going to go to Chelsea. I think Trafford actually had a decent game. He didn't have a lot to do in that Wolves game, but he did a decent job. And Sanchez. So anyway, I just think Donnarumma might have more appealing options elsewhere. And I think for this season, we have Onana. And I always thought Amorim, in the best case scenario, was going to give Onana another season. He was going to give him one more season regardless.
Yeah, and I think with Donnarumma, the problem is wages as well. I don't know if we sort of have the wages to sort of match his demands. But it's an interesting one. I just think my whole issue is and this is sort of been the issue we've had in the recent years, is we've sort of sold players because they weren't good enough, but then replaced those players with players who are still not good enough. And I think we're in a situation like that with the goalkeeper situation. I mean, David De Gea right now is probably on. We sold him because, as I said, he was costing us games, and yet we're left with. By the end of his career at United, obviously, and then we're left with now goalkeepers who are doing the exact same thing, and it's one of them where it's hard because it is the first game of the season. I don't think you should really read much into it, but it's a difficult one because I want to say we're starting to now see good signs, and we're starting to play progressive football, and we're starting to see those patterns of play emerge, but yet we still lost the game. So it's a hard one to really predict with Fulham away next weekend. That's where you'll really see the cat amongst the pigeons, basically, where if we lose to Fulham away, that's when we've really got a real issue, because then you go, okay, Arsenal, losing to Arsenal, one of the sort of favourites to win the league, 1-0, and we were the better team. Not really a terrible result, but then if you go away to Arsenal away to Fulham, next weekend, and you lose again, that's where you sort of go, okay, where is our level here? And as I've said, I personally believe we might beat Fulham away. We will definitely, I think, win a lot more games, hopefully, from what I've seen of the first weekend. But in my opinion, from what I've also seen this first weekend, you're going to also have games where you deserve to win and you're the better side, and yet one mistake from your goalkeeper is going to cost you games. And that's not going to come against the Arsenals, and that can happen against any team. So we're going to lose games against teams lower down the league because our goalkeeper is going to cost us games. And that's what happened with Onana, and now it's happening with Bayern Deer. So we have to get that position sorted. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I think we're going to stick with Onana for this season. I think obviously Amorim's not going to come out and criticise goalkeepers heavily, especially goalkeepers, a position where you need confidence. But I definitely, if I was them, I'd be looking at the Donnarummas, I'd be looking at the Martinez at Villa. We just need sort of that bold character who pushes everyone out the way and gets his hand onto the ball in the goal, in the box. You can't have a goalkeeper who seems timid in net, because also he sets the precedent for the rest of the team. If you've got a confident goalkeeper, then you've got a confident back line. If you haven't, it unnerves everyone. I heard Gary Neville say, when you have a goalkeeper who flaps at the ball, you sort of get that murmur through the crowd. The crowd kind of gets nervous, and everyone sort of starts to play very nervous when you don't have that solid goalkeeper. And I said it last week on the podcast, where every championship winning team has an outstanding goalkeeper. That's what sets the standards for the rest of the team. And that's a big problem at the minute. And I don't think we're going to get it sorted this season. And we'll see how Onana plays, because there is rumours that he will start at Craven Cottage next weekend. So we'll see how he comes back from injury and see if he is in better form for this season. But I'd be looking at sort of next weekend, and if we still don't see sort of positive signs out of Onana that he has made a real improvement, you've got 2 weeks left of the transfer market, and I'd really be looking at another goalkeeper option.
Well, what do you think as well? Let's have a little bit of a break here. Let's calm down. Let's calm down Sam, get some safe hands on him, and we'll be back after this.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Post-match interview with MUTV as well. Amorim said it's really hard to lose like this. And I think, as opening days go, it could have gone a lot worse. But also, I wasn't deflated like I have been in losses against the big teams last season. It wasn't deflating, it was disappointing. And whether you call that an upgrade or not is entirely up to you. But I genuinely felt in there, as you said in the previous part, but for one era, we'd be walking away of Old Trafford with 1 point against a title contender this season.
Yeah, I really struggled to know how to feel on Sunday night, to be honest. Because in one sense, I was happy with our performance, but on the other sense, I was fuming. I can't lie, I was absolutely fuming, because I was so disappointed that we didn't at least get something out of that game. And I knew what the narrative was going to be sort of Monday morning, and it was going to be, oh, same old United and blah, blah, blah. And I just don't feel like, well, from that performance anyway, we deserve that criticism. Obviously, going into the season, it was like, is Amorim the right guy? Or United, are they going to struggle again? Blah, blah, blah. And I think if you didn't watch the game and just saw the scoreline, you'd go, "Oh, United, they've lost again at Old Trafford, blah blah blah." But it's so frustrating when you play so well and you get nothing out of it. And I was fuming, to be honest. But and I get sort of when Amorim says it's so hard to lose like that, because I get it. When you play really well as we did and you are the better team, and by the way, you come up against an Arsenal team who, mind my language, but who have become proper basically. That's how they're playing now. Like, whether you like it or not, Arteta has become such a manager who plays such that style of football where he time wastes, he plays long throw-ins, he puts it in the corner, and to lose to a team like that who do that, I mean, it's reminiscent of old Mourinho, really, where you just grind out a result. And to be honest, if I'm looking at it from an objective point of view, that's a championship winning performance from Arsenal. To go away, to grind out a result, to not play your best, and to get a win out of it. So look, fair enough, they did what they had to do, and they obviously got the result. But when you're the team on the other end, it's horrible to lose like that. It's absolutely horrible. So
it's one of those Football Manager games, isn't it? By the way, I'm washing your mouth out with soap after this episode recording's done and dusted. So I'm glad you all know that. But yeah, it's one of those. If you've ever played Football Manager, or if you've ever played EAFC, what was called FIFA back in the day, and you have all these chances, you can't finish them, and it's one mistake or one shot ends up in the back of the net, and that's a point where you restart it. You can't do that here. You can't do it. But hey, I will take the positives away. That, you know, the link up between Mbeumo, Cunha, and Mason Mount as well was really good to watch. So good to watch. But you know, without a recognised striker in that lineup, let's face it, there wasn't a recognised striker. It was sort of three attacking midfielders, one being sort of second striker, others being playmakers and getting forward when they can. And that led to Dorgu putting the ball into a box where no one was there. No one was driving into the box, because whilst you've got some players with some real quality, some real flair who can really change the game, you haven't got someone with that killer instinct as a striker. What you have is Šeško. Now, he only had 30 minutes, and it might have less than that, actually. And in fairness, at that point, United were pushing up. You know, at that point, we brought on a couple of players to change the game. With 15 to 10 minutes ago, we brought on Maguire to be the target forward. So the game had completely changed by that point. We weren't playing in our usual style. I think with a recognised striker, that system will work a lot better. And you have to drop Mason Mount back. But I thought he had a great game, but he does struggle with injuries. So it might not be, in terms of rotation, it might not be a bad thing. But there was one question that was asked towards the end of the press conference, I believe, the post-match press conference, which was no Rasmus Hoyland, which, is always going to be a question now. You've brought in Šeško. There was no Hoyland involved in the squad whatsoever. And Amorim said it's a fight for the places. We'll see what's going to happen on the market. Rasmus has the same characteristics as Benjamin Šeško, so sometimes we need to choose. So it's that sense of, is it competition or is Hoyland on the way out? Take your pick.
Yeah, and to be honest, on the Hoyland situation, I do think he's on the way out. Not permanently. I think he will sort of go on a loan move before the sort of window ends. And to be honest, I truly believe that is the best thing for him. I truly believe he can go out to another league. There's rumours of him going back to the Italian league, and I really think he can do well for a team and really gain his confidence back and score a fair few goals, and then hopefully come back to United and do the same thing. And with obviously Šeško coming in now, I think he's obviously not going to be the main man as he was a lot last season. And to be honest, I have to admit, I looked at the starting lineup before the Arsenal game and I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't necessarily agree. Obviously, Ahmad was on the bench, Delo was on the right instead of him, Mount started. But I have to say, I was very, very surprised and very happily surprised, basically, because I doubted the starting lineup, but on Mason Mount, by the way, unbelievable. I think that was one of the best games in a United shirt he's had. And the thing is, I've always backed Mason Mount. I've always known there's a player in there, and I really do think we've seen glimpses of it last season, scoring against Bilbao. Scoring 2 actually against Bilbao in the Europa
from the
League.
halfway line as well.
Yeah. And we've seen glimpses of the Mason Mount of what he used to be at Chelsea and what we bought him, the player we thought we bought, and it's just a shame that he's been hit so much with injury at United. But I think people are really forgetting the player that he was at Chelsea. I mean, he was one of their main men when they won the Champions League under Thomas Tuchel, and obviously that was quite a couple years ago now, but I really do think there's such a talented player in there with Mason Mount, and if he can stay fit, I really do think he can be a really important player for us. And not just Mason Mount, that the same applies to Luke Shaw as well. I think both of them, Luke Shaw and Mason Mount, I think they're essential for everything we do, really. I mean, Luke Shaw, I would say, is more important just because he gives us that sort of option, that centre-back option that I think we might need. But Mason Mount also, he's a very, very good option off the bench or starting. I think, he, considering everything he's been through, I think, that was one of his best performances, to be honest.
Yeah, Luke Shaw as well as that sort of left centre back, playing as a wider centre back, which I think is he 5'10", 5'11" is Luke Shaw,
like that,
like roughly that. So maybe a little short on the centre back side, but he's no stranger to that position under Amorim's system. He's played there before, but it seemed to click a little bit more for him. And I wonder if playing him a little bit deeper on that defence can sort of combat the injury issues he's had. Now, obviously, we know Luke Shaw's missed, it's a silly amount. It was something like 40%. By the end of last season, 40% of his entire Manchester United career has been in the injury table, which is absolutely mad, considering he's been there for, what's it now, 10? Is it 11th season at Manchester United? Again, someone will have to correct me on that one. I'm pretty sure he came in the 2014-2015 season, but again, you'll have to correct me on that one. Either way, for 40% of his Manchester United career, he's been injured and not fit to start, not eligible to play.
Yeah,
that's a huge amount. That's a huge chunk of his career that he's missed out on, that we've missed out on Luke Shaw. Him coming in as a 19-year-old from Southampton, full of such promise, and a career that just seems like it's been curtailed by injury.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I said you can sort of put him in the same boat as Mount, where when they're both playing well, they give us such good options. Considering, so on Sunday we had Shaw, who played outstanding, De Ligt, who played amazing, and obviously Yoro is very, very solid and looking like a really, really good addition as well. So you've got 3 centre-backs there who on their top game are outstanding. Then you've obviously got Martinez as well for him. When he's playing well, he's one of our best defenders. So you've got 4 defenders there who are very, very good, like when they're on their top form. Then in the attacking sense, you've got Mason Mount. If he can play like he did on Sunday every week, then he's going to give, like at the back, he's going to give Amorim a decision to make. If you've got sort of Cunha up there and Buemo up there, Sesko up there, Bruno. So if these players can play fit, it gives Amorim such a good decision to have to make, because he's got all these good different options. And to think Ahmad didn't even start either. So, I mean... Yeah. I do think, personally, I think Ahmad has to start. I think he has to start every game. Look, I get why Dalot maybe started on the right, just to give us maybe that more defensive, to be more defensively solid at the back against Arsenal. But to be honest, I think Ahmad has to start. I mean, everything he doesn't give you defensively, which, by the way, he's not a bad defender running back, he gives you so much more in attack, and he's unbelievable. I mean, I said at the start of the weekend, before the games had all kicked off, that I really do think this season will be sort of the season that rival fans and opposition fans see Ahmad for what we see him as. I mean, just when he comes on, he just changes the game, and he just runs at fullbacks and gives us so much more of an attacking option going forward. So I love that him on the right, and I think he should be starting against Fulham. But that's the thing against Fulham. So you can't obviously drop Cunha, and Buemo's got to start. Ahmad, in my opinion's got to start. Sesko, I would start, and that's another option. That give it a couple of weeks, and when Sesko's up to full fitness, he's another option where you've got a really good option in Sesko. I have to admit, even though look, he only played half an hour, I would have liked to see a bit more from Sesko, just in terms of just a few more touches and a few more chances. But look, it's his first game at Old Trafford, first half an hour, so I'm not going to sort of.
Yeah, I will say as well that when he came on, the game wasn't the same as the first half. You know, it completely changed where United were going much more attacking. The formation was sort of slightly a little bit more flexible than maybe it's normally. So, yeah, pinch of salt with that one. But I think the back line dealt with Gyökeres really well. They nullified his attack. They more often than not sent him wide, which is the opposite of what Arsenal want. They don't want Gyökeres wide. They want him in the middle, but the crosses to come into him. So the defence did well there. And I just think, one of those shots goes in. I mean, Dorgu hitting the post.
Yeah. He was outstanding as well, by the way.
He was.
I mean, yeah, he was outstanding, Dorgu, on the left, and that's the thing. If he can stay fit going forward, he looks like a threat. Up and down the pitch, he was outstanding. So that's why I say I think the only real positions that we're lacking is obviously goalkeeper, but we have we have depth there in terms of we have two keepers. Well, we have three, but two realistic keepers who are going to play. But none of them are really the standard we need. And midfield, I do really think there's a drop-off in midfield. When Agate comes, I thought Casemiro actually played quite well, to be honest. But as we expected and as we said last week, you only get 60 minutes out of Casemiro. And then who'd you bring on? And we saw Agate came on, and yeah, I'm just not a fan, to be honest. So... But if you don't bring Agate on, we don't have anyone else who's going to give you that defensive stability. I mean, you've got Mainu, but obviously he's not giving you that defensive stability. So it's either Bruno and Casemiro or Mainu and Agate together. So I do really think we need a Baleba type player, but I highly doubt that Baleba transfer is going to go through this season. So, I mean... Toby Collier, I mean, he obviously went to West Brom, I believe, on loan, which, by the way, is a great move for West Brom. I really do feel like that's a great little loan signing and a good move for Toby Collier. He's going to get a lot of game time. But, I mean, he would have given us another defensive option. Not that I think he's good enough to sort of play week in, week out, but he's probably... on par with what we have now in terms of, I'd say Casemiro is our sort of number one defensive midfielder, but the drop off from there, to be honest, I think Agate, as I said last week, is very hot and cold, and at the minute he seems very cold. So yeah, I'd again with the goalkeeper situation, I'd look how Fulham plays out next Sunday, and if there's still no improvement, you've got a week and a half, 2 weeks left of the transfer window. And if it's not Baleba and you're not willing to sort of pay the prices for Baleba, or Brighton aren't willing to let him go, I'd either look at someone else or potentially look at a little loan move as well. I mean, Douglas Luiz has just gone to Nottingham Forest for about 25 million. I wouldn't mind him. Paulinho has gone to Spurs on loan from Bayern Munich. I wouldn't have minded him either. So we have missed out on these types of players that maybe would have filled a hole. Whether we've missed out for good now, that's the scouts' jobs, I guess. But yeah.
Well, that about wraps up our Wildcard Wednesday. And to make sure that you don't miss out on another exciting episode of the Daily Manchester United, make sure you're following us on all the socials as well. We're on Twitter and X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook, all as GSPN Man United. You can also watch all of our episodes on YouTube. So if you're on Spotify or you're on Apple and you're thinking, I'd love to see those faces, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's GSPN Daily Man United Podcast. It's so long, so you have to remember it. It's the law. Thank you to Sam for joining me on today's Wildcard episode Wednesday, where we just sort of talked a little bit about everything. We sort of went on a bit of a tangent there, and to be honest with you, I quite liked it. And of course, we couldn't do this without our sponsor in Zencastr, because here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that can remove all of those ums and ahs, or maybe a little bit of a swear from Sam, it's super easy to do, and it makes it sound really great and delivered efficiently on the platform of your choice. So if you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening along to today's episode. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.